Hey everybody! So it's that time of year again where everyone's getting ready, or most people, or maybe no one at all, is getting ready for their summer cut. And I'm one of those people included in that. And it's going quite well so far. I'm about 4 weeks or halfway into an 8 week cut. The weight is coming off, or the fat is coming off slowly, and things are going well. Now, as part of this process, you start to see sort of where your definition is and where it isn't, right? So, for example, the whole sort of thing that prompted this video was me taking a look and then noticing, okay, my biceps could be bigger. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to do a video today on the 7 biggest mistakes that I have made over my fitness or my training career. So hopefully that you guys can learn from it and not make the same mistakes if you are interested in sort of lifting, fitness, making yourself look better, building a better body, that type of thing. So hopefully these tips will help you. These are my personal tips. Obviously, they may vary from person to person. A lot of this you might know, but we're going to go through it anyway. So let's get stuck right into it. So number one was starting too late, right? I only started training properly at about age 29, age 30. I'm 37 now, which means I lost a lot of the best years, right? If you start out early in your late teens, early 20s, through your 20s, you're going to have a lot of time to build. You're going to have a lot of time to build a strong foundation, and you can keep building on top of that, on top of that. So by the time you get to my age, you'll have a lot more definition. So don't make that mistake like I did by starting too late. I wasted most of my 20s partying, drinking, engaging in recreational activities, and this on top of not even stepping foot into a gym was no good for building a physique later in life. So start as soon as possible and be diligent. Number two was once I had started, and I'm going to try list these 7 mistakes in sort of a chronological order as they sort of tie into each other according to my sort of training history. So number two, the second mistake is following shitty magazine programs like those that you see in Men's Health, the type of thing that says, do this one exercise for 6-pack abs, that kind of bullshit that's just meant to sell magazines, and at the end of the day just lands up confusing everyone. You've got to try and find a proven program that works. For example, a 5x5 strength program like strong lifts, maybe a more advanced one as you progress, like 5-3-1, that type of thing, or finding maybe a more bodybuilding specific program that has been proven to work and has results from lots of people who testify to that program. Okay, the third mistake I made was staying on a strength-based program like strong lift, 5x5, that type of training, powerlifting sort of programming for way too long. All right, I was on this for about, I'd say, close to 4, maybe even 5 years, doing only that. No other sort of work changes to the workouts. I mean, the sort of programming of the workouts changed, but it was always the same sort of exercises: squat, bench press, deadlift, press, pull-ups, that type of thing. And they all said if you go read the literature on these programs, oh, don't worry about the rest of the exercises, you'll build muscles in other places when you do the heavy lifts like that. And that wasn't exactly true, as you can see by my biceps. So I took way too long. I should have changed programs. But I didn't really know. I thought, I don't really care how I look. And that leads us to mistake number 4 that I made, right? And that was pretending that aesthetics don't matter, right? It doesn't matter how you look. As long as you lift heavy, you'll look cool. And if you lift heavy, you'll automatically grow muscles in the other places, and then you should look good automatically, right? And that was not the case, at least not for me. Maybe it works for other guys. Maybe they just do sort of 3 or 4 exercises. They lift really heavy and then they cut body fat and they look shredded. Good for them. It didn't work for me, and I had to add other stuff to the mix in order to start seeing progress, which I only did much later. So that takes me to mistake number 5, right? And that's not including hypertrophy or bodybuild type of exercises into your workouts. So if you eventually stop lying to yourself and realize that aesthetics do matter, and you actually want to look better too and not just lift heavy, then you're going to have to add other sorts of exercises and other sort of exercise into the program that follow a bit more of a bodybuilding hypertrophy type setup, right? Maybe higher rep range. Instead of doing the powerlifting rep ranges of like 3 to 5, you now do anywhere from like 8 to 15, right? And you program your workouts accordingly. Now ultimately what I've learned to be able to lift heavy and to add the bodybuilding hypertrophy type exercises to the workout is just to have a split of them in your workouts during the week. So maybe you have a 2 or 3 days you do strength programming, and 2 or 3 days you do hypertrophy type bodybuilding type exercise programming, or maybe you have a combination where you lift 1 or 2 exercises heavy first, and then you do sort of hypertrophy after that. But having a mix of it seems to work well for me and started to get a lot more definition in places I never had before. Mistake number 6, hopefully I think we've covered 5 so far. Mistake number 6 was winging nutrition in the beginning, and ultimately also not tracking food. And I know this is a pain for many people, but if you want to see results, especially for strength, it's not so important, but for aesthetics, if you want to start, if you want to sort of cut, you want to start seeing definition, you want to lower your body fat and get, start seeing abs and that type of thing, you have to track your food so that you know what you're consuming, you know how your nutrition is broken down by how many calories, how much protein, carbs, and fat you're consuming, and that type of stuff. So tracking is really important, and then also understanding the nutrition is important too. I know it's hard. There's a lot of bro science. Everyone's a professional. Everyone's got some nutritional background. The one recommends this diet, one recommends that. I mean, it's a constant struggle for me still to this day. We've got veganism, we've got paleo, we've got all these sort of different branches that everyone has their religious beliefs in, and I think that ultimately at the end of the day, the most important thing, especially if you want to worry about aesthetics overall, is calories, right? So focus on the calories, make sure you track them, and how you split them out, accordingly is going to be a personal decision you make. But at the end of the day, if you want to cut and focus on aesthetics, you're going to want to track your calories and then adjust them probably downwards when you cut, and maybe upwards when you slow bulk or you bulk or you're in maintenance mode. And finally, mistake number 7 that I made in my history of training was, and still is, alcohol. All right. Now, this is a weak point for me, and for some people it's not an issue at all, and that's great. But alcohol, I mean, I don't have to tell you why this is bad. Number 1, it's empty calories, so you're just consuming alcohol that has no nutritional value for your body, which is not good. Number 2, you can lead to skip workouts the next day. You might be too hungover, you can't get out of bed, and you miss a workout, and that can mess with the programming a bit. Number 3, it can lead you to do sort of actions that you wouldn't normally do. For example, if you drink and you get drunk, you might go and binge on junk food or takeout and that after you've been drinking or the next day, and that can fuck with your diet and ultimately your aesthetics and your training as well. So alcohol is a big mistake too. So that's it. Those are the 7 mistakes that I could think of when I was having a look at my body now and trying to figure out the shortfalls in my physique, and those are the 7 biggest mistakes that came to mind. So I may do another video on the 7 things I did right that have helped me have good progress, but that will be for another day. So hopefully you found that helpful, and if there's something there that you do and that you think might make a difference if you stop, maybe good to just try that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.